time. How do they listen? Each style listens differently. With directors, they're very purposeful. If you're talking about something that they're interested in, they are all ears. And when you stop talking about something of interest to them, they are out of there. They actually will get up and walk out. They'll do other things. Thinkers are very analytical. Well, wait a second, wait a second. A little while ago you said this. Now you're saying that. Which is it? Relators are very empathic. How does that feel? I can't believe that happened. And what did you do? They get as much or more emotional about issues as you do. And socializers, they're very fickle. You know, 1 second they're like this. No, get out of here! When did... And then another minute they're like this. No, I'm listening, I'm listening. They're in and out, whether it's purposeful or not. What do they fear? This is important to understand, because this turns them off. Directors fear being taken advantage of. As soon as they feel that you are taking advantage of them, you are crossed off their list. That is it. You're done. Thinkers, criticizing their effort. They do not like criticism. Sudden changes for the relators. They don't like a lot of big sudden change. So what you have to do is break it up over a period of time. You know, a little bit each day. And socializers, they do not like rejection, especially social rejection or ostracism, not being considered part of the group, being, you know, pushed out of a group. They do not like that. That's big, big, big fears. How they set goals. This is crucial. And this is something that you should focus on, how each of these styles set goals. One more time, how many of you have children? This is important also, understanding if you have more than one child, knowing how to work through this with them, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, how they set goals. Sometimes we ask our children to set goals, or we help them set goals by whose yardstick? Our own. We have to understand that they do things differently. So, with directors, they favor goals that are productive and inexpensive. And typically, directors favor a single overriding goal. They like to work on one goal. Let me achieve it, then I'll move on to another. They don't like a whole list of goals. One big one. Thinkers, they favor goals that promote growth, accuracy, quality. Relators, goals that open opportunities for everybody involved, not just for themselves. They like, you know, the whole group. Everybody has to be involved in the goal. And socializers, loosely defined goals. They don't want to be tied down, and they often change. No, I want to do that. How about that? No, that's better. That. How they make decisions. Now, this is crucial in selling, isn't it? Directors, decisive. What they want, give them 2 to 3 options with brief supporting analysis, and then who makes the decision? They do. Now, I realize that in selling, we have all of these different techniques of closing, etc., and one is called the assumptive close, where you are, or a forced choice close, where you're basically forcing the close or a decision on somebody. They'll kick you out. It will not work with them. I mean, a single closing technique will not work on all 4 styles, I will tell you that. They like options with analysis, and they make the decision. Thinkers, they're very analytical. Give me all of my options, not 2 or 3. If there's 5, if there's 7, I want all the options. And then I'm going to do an entire Ben Franklin balance sheet of pros and cons, analyze each one, and then the logic of the situation will dictate which is the best option. No emotion comes into this. It's pretty clear, black and white. Relators, collaborative. How many people are going to be affected by this decision? Well, let's get all of them here and find out how they feel about it. And let's make sure everybody's on the same page. And socializers are spontaneous. If it looks good, feels good, smells good, let's do it. But I will tell you this. You ever hear the saying that the easiest people to sell are salespeople? And one of the reasons is most salespeople, the majority of salespeople, are socializers. And it's not that salespeople are the easiest to sell. That actually is not accurate. Socializers are the easiest to sell. But here's the problem with socializers. They frequently buy before they're sold. Now let that sink in. They buy before they're sold. And when people buy before they're sold, what does it lead to? Buyer's remorse. Bringing things back, sending things back. Let's talk about compatibility. Which styles get along best and which styles have the most difficulty getting along? What would you think? I think everybody has different opinions here. All right, here's two quotes. I want you to finish them for me. Opposites. Birds of a feather. Which one is more accurate? All right, so we have two different opinions here. Both are accurate, but it depends on the situation. So let's talk about work, working on a task, a goal. Opposites attract. And why is that? At work, on a task, opposite styles get along best. And the reason is the strengths of one style compensate for the weaknesses of the other. So there's a balance. So what styles get along best? Thinker-relater, director-relater, socializer-relater. Do you see a pattern here? Everybody gets along with the relators. Everybody. Moderately compatible, thinkers with thinkers, relators with relators, socializers with thinkers, and the least compatible, two directors, because they're always butting heads with each other. They have their own goals and objectives, the ways they want to do things. Let's do it my way or the highway. Why would socializer be the lowest compatible group when it comes to work? Work. Come on. Hey, did you hear the one about? Style compatibility socially. Birds of a feather flock together. Like styles get along best in a social environment. So, notice, thinkers with thinkers, relators with relators, socializers with socializers. Wait a second. What's missing? Directors. They're still competing with each other, even socially. They don't even want to go out. I got work to do. But they're in the next group. Moderately compatible. And the least compatible, director, relator, socializer, thinker, are the diagonals. They have the least in common. All right, here's your pop quiz, ladies and gentlemen. I've taken you through a whole bunch of information, and I want to see how well you've assimilated it and how well you can project. So, what would you say is the ideal vehicle chosen by a socializer? Built for them. A convertible, a sports car, a Porsche, a Ferrari, Maserati, Corvette. What color? Red. Absolutely. Ideal vehicle for a relator. A minivan. Yeah, you can bring the family. Come on, we got room. Thinkers. Volvo. Volvo. Safe. Built well. Quality. Reliable. Ideal vehicle for a director. Get out of my way or I'm going to go right over you. By the way, let's take it another step. Every style has a theme song, a song that captures the essence of who they are and how they go about doing what they do. What would you say is a theme song chosen by over 90% of all directors? And did it my way. Oh, they love this song. They sit up a little straighter, puff out a little. Yeah, my way or the highway.
I've had my fill.
But only 90% choose that song. The other 10% feel it's too weak. They want something a little stronger. Ideal song for a thinker. So I usually don't get one. When I do, it's usually, well, opera, jazz, classical. Classical's the key. Could you imagine a thinker on a bad day when all of their negatives come out? They question too much. They're more analytical. They're overly analytical. And they're called in to the local symphony. Symphony's losing money. So they call this analytical thinker in, who's a consultant. And they say to the analytical thinker, how could we make more money and make this symphony more profitable? So the thinker starts analyzing and over-analyzing.
I just completed this report. First of all, the orchestra seemed to be operating quite efficiently, but then on closer inspection, it became apparent that there was a lot of waste and inefficiency. The oboes, for example, were on stage throughout the entire piece, but they only played 10% of the time. The woodwinds frequently just repeated notes that had already been played. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. An obvious and clear duplication. Violins and violas, they could rarely even be heard above the din of the other instruments, and they could probably be done away with altogether. My calculations show that by getting rid of the unnecessary instruments and by cutting the running time of the piece by a third, substantial savings could be had not only in salaries, but in overhead expenses, lighting, heating, electricity, rental time for the auditorium, all sorts of things. The bottom line in this business is profit and loss, minimax, minimizing expenses and maximizing profits. If the symphony puts my study into effect, they'll have more people units seeing shorter music units, enjoying it more, it'll cost less, and their profits will be greater.
He's so proud. Ideal song for a relator. Feelings, right? You've got a friend. People. People who need people are the luckiest people in the whole world. But any song where they can put their arms around each other and sway back and forth, right? Kumbaya, right? Anything like that. Where are my relators? Relators, come on. Oh, they love that stuff. They love participation. And of course, of all four styles, nobody loves love songs more than the relators. So it just stands to reason that their favorite artist, or one of their favorite artists, would be they get a little embarrassed. Then they lean over and say, you know, I really do like him. Ideal song for a socializer. How many want to dance right now? Yeah. Okay. Let us go into our last section here before break, and that is, how do you practice adaptability with each style? So let's talk about directors. With directors, key thing is making sure that you understand and support and reinforce their goals and objectives. Another thing is to keep the relationship businesslike. Don't get chummy with them. You know, get right to the point, bottom line it with them. What you want to do is provide, as I mentioned before, options with brief supporting analysis so that they can make a quick decision. And above all else, treat them rapidly. This is a crucial point. Now listen to this. One of the worst things you can do with a director is build up to the point. They do not want that. Whatever the key point is, you say it. Sales are down 32%. Here's why. And then you